Welcome to another edition of the Coach U Show, where we interview amazing entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things. And today, Bouncy Ben got to visit Nike Global Headquarters for the first time. So Ben, how was it?
We get there and there's 20 different buildings that you can hardly describe. Infrastructure is incredible. Everything about these buildings are incredible. LeBron buildings, Michael Jordan buildings. It's an athlete's dream, which is what I do. I dunk. I'm an athlete. So it's truthfully my dream to be there. So I'm very thankful that Dennis invited me.
So for someone who might be an athlete themselves and they've never been to Nike's headquarters, what can they expect?
Well, a really good day and a really good time. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing some dunks there. You walk around and you feel the aura of the greats. You see LeBron posters and Michael Jordan shoes and all the history of all these athletes, and it's really fascinating. You just feel like you're kind of walking in greatness.
Now Ben, who's Bouncy Ben on Instagram, is a professional dunker, and his vertical jump is within 4 inches of the world record. He's at 46 and the world record is 50 and change. And he got to meet the designers of the LeBron series, of Kyrie, of all the great basketball legends, and then the head of all, was basically shoe design and basketball, and basically all the top designers. What was that like?
Well, just the fact that they were talking to me like what I had to do was interesting, as they're some of the most successful people, obviously. It really just made my summer, honestly.
What did you find surprising about being around these legends? Like the guy JP, who has been at Nike for 21 years and has designed a lot of the shoes that you guys wear.
He was the LeBron guy, right? Yeah. Well, I just ordered some LeBrons, so that's funny. But it's just they were so kind to me, and they treated me like I was interesting. And that just made me feel amazing, and it just was great to meet them.
I thought what was so cool when we got to meet these different people that are legends at Nike, who designed a lot of the iconic apparel that you and I have seen. We met the big boss, the head of design, which they have 200 some designers just working on footwear and whatnot. And this guy took time out of his day to ask Ben and actually write down his handle and actually follow him. And he said, what time tomorrow are you going to be at the Bo Jackson gym so I can maybe come watch and maybe bring my son? How awesome is that?
It's ridiculous. I mean, years ago, to know that would have happened, no one could have made me believe it, you know? It's just surreal, kind of, to be at Nike, let alone meeting some of these people and them treating me like what I'm doing is something they're interested in.
And all of them, they wanted to know about you genuinely. They were interested.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'd hope so.
And we asked Tanya, who is the director of colorway and design, and she's got a big team, what was it that was surprising for her joining Nike? And her answer was, it's surprising how kind and helpful other people are, even people who are just legends in their industry, and they're willing to spend time. She didn't expect that, and so we got a taste of that. And what is it like when you spend time with people that are world-class? Because she said, I thought, because these guys are all competitive or whatever, there'd be like this, I don't know, like a fierce camaraderie. But instead, it was like hanging out with friends.
It was, yeah. Super welcoming and just never awkward, honestly, it was just amazing. Everyone there is great that we met today.
So what was your favorite part?
I loved the LeBron building. And
what did you like about it?
Well, learning that he flies his helicopter there instead of regular transportation kind of makes sense, but that was just funny to think about, because just what an amazing world. And
how each of these athletes has a hand in the design of their building. The Serena Williams building, or Bo Jackson, or what is there, a Phil Knight one? There's one for basically, if you're an icon in sports, then you get a building named after you. And how Nike works so closely with each of the athletes to be able to reflect their own, like they had a new line they just showed us for breakdancing.
Oh, I know, right?
And because there's Nike of everything, and they adapted from Nike skateboarding. And we met for lunch two designers who work on Nike football, global football. I mean, how awesome is that?
And they were so nice as well, so welcoming.
And they're telling us, one of them, it was their first week on the job. And who did she get to meet?
Oh, she met Giannis, LeBron.
First name basis on all these folks. And we're asking her, like, what's it like being around these sorts of icons, right? You're designing shoes and apparel for them, and you want to make them happy. And she said, well, it's amazing, like how, what was the word that she used? But like how insightful they were about giving product feedback on how they wanted this shoe to be designed. And how just grateful, that was the word she used, how grateful they were to be working with Nike. And how she has all these secrets that, you know, you're not allowed to tell until they sign the athlete. So she just signed, who was the women's basketball?
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. And that was a secret from her family because Nike's all secretive about that kind of stuff. But then when the news comes out, and she was leading the team that presented the designs to Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin chose Nike over Adidas and Under Armour and all the other folks. So all of them are bidding for these different athletes. Like, how does that feel, right, to be able to win? And you're part of the team that causes that athlete to choose Nike.
It'd be amazing. One of the best jobs ever, probably.
Yeah. But then again, she said she was an employee. And as a designer and now a manager of many designers, it's not like you can just 100% all the time be expressing yourself because it's a corporation and there's deadlines and meetings and things that corporations need to do, that all of us is just, it's part of reality. And she talked about that. And I thought that was super insightful to look at what is like the best corporate job you could have and how does that contrast with being an entrepreneur, right? It's good and bad on either side. What have you noticed?
With the jobs?
Yeah.
Well, I just have noticed that I want to dunk for a living. But yeah, if you're working for Nike, it's an amazing environment. Like she said, if there were living arrangements there, she thinks they'd be full because it's like a campus. You could live there.
People want to be there, and people are sneaking in there trying to get on campus. There's security, right? We saw a lot of security, but they're all very polite, right? There's security at the buildings, because you can imagine all the fans that are probably trying to go into the LeBron building, hoping LeBron is there, right? And when we were there waiting in one of the lobbies in Serena Williams, there were a ton of basketball players.
Yeah, I don't know what that was for, and some that I recognized as well, some up-and-coming high school hoopers.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but looked pretty interesting. Obviously, a lot's going on.
Yeah, but just think, being at the global headquarters of Nike, and then as Ben advances in his professional dunking career, he's got connections at Nike, and they know who he is.
That's crazy.
And that can make all the difference. And maybe he doesn't do that. Maybe he does something else, but then those connections still matter. And those are people that are following him. So I encourage you guys to think about, are there places or companies or people that you want to be able to meet that maybe there's no direct professional reason right now, but it's something of interest that you have? Can you make that happen, right? Instead of thinking about Nike or watching basketball on TV, can you take action to increase your vertical? Or maybe you have a child that would like to have an experience like this, to imagine that these things are possible, right?
Yeah. Like I say, a couple years ago, before I started this journey, I definitely would not have thought that I'd be shaking hands with people at Nike. It's just surreal.
The people that build the very products that you use. Every product that you have, it could be an iPhone, could be a whatever, right? A vehicle that you like, anything that you like, someone had to build it. And you can be friends with the people and meet and maybe even have clients that have those people as clients. Like, that surprised the heck out of me, because my dream when I was a 14-year-old was I wanted to be a pro athlete, right? Running for Nike. I wasn't fast enough, obviously. But then fast forward 20 years later, and Nike is paying us $1 million plus to build analytics, and I never would have thought, right? Think about the companies that you really admire. They could be your client, or you could find another angle. Like, maybe you don't become a pro athlete, but maybe you can work in marketing or in operations or be a designer or be an architect. They talked about the architecture of each of the different buildings and how unique it was and who designed it and their partnership with Japan. And, you know, they sent to their Japanese counterparts some cherry blossoms, which blossom at the same time. At the same time, the Japanese sent these Japanese maples that they planted right there. So it's like they did this exchange transplant. And like, how cool is that to see that? And to see shoes and new products that we're not allowed to take pictures of. So we didn't take any pictures of, so you don't have any pictures of the inside of the building because we're not allowed to do that.
Only we got to see.
We got to see it though. And they built these huge museum-like exhibits for all the things that they're building. We went to this place called BRS, Blue Ribbon Studios, where they were designing all their new stuff, all the new materials and dyes and cloth and just all the creative stuff. And every year they produce a book of all the cool, like a full-on like coffee table book, not some like side, like a real legitimate book. And it's only for the designers at Nike. How cool is that?
It's awesome. Like, that's the thing. Nike is an art studio. It's a whole like movement, really.
And they have 8,000 employees now.
Operations of it going on there.
We were walking on our way to lunch and we looked up and there was the original building that started this campus, and Phil Knight, who's the founder, his like boardroom office was up on the 3rd floor and we could see up into that room. And Phil Knight at 90 years old still comes in, which I think is crazy, right?
I know, I could hardly
Can you imagine, like, he started the company in 1972, which was 2 years before I was even born. And now it's a, $20 billion company, something like that? That's insane.
And wasn't she saying, like, he still is working in the same exact office, too? Yeah. It's cool.
That shows, like, you pour your life into something.
Yeah.
And to think, like, imagine you're Phil Knight, and you came up with the idea. You paid some other designer to do the swoosh and the whole story around that one, but you struck the deal with all the runners at the University of Oregon to start using your lightweight waffle racer product. And then you strike a deal with Michael Jordan, and the Jordan line is what launched Nike. And at that time, you're just a tiny little company selling shoes out of the back of your van, right? No real office or anything like that, just an idea. And people like Adidas and the Asics Tiger are breathing down your backs, right? They're saying, who's this upstart? Asics tried to sue them, right? You can read the whole story of how Nike started. And now it is what it is, where they are one of the only companies that is both broad and deep. Most companies are just deep. They just go really deep into like one kind of sport, or they do just shoes, or they do just like, lightweight spandex clothing or whatever it is. But they cover every sport, and they cover the full range of apparel, which is incredible. And then how many seasons do they have? And how many colorways do they have for each of these products? And just incredible complexity.
Like 65 colorways for LeBron's yearly shoe.
Every year.
Yeah.
It's almost like this could be a Nike commercial. And that's how Nike grew, is they created such amazing fans that became their marketing. And it wasn't because they had professional marketers, it's because they said, because I asked her, like, what was the most important thing? And she said, it was the athletes first. Like, okay, that's a good answer, right?
Yeah. It helps when you sign Michael Jordan and LeBron.
But when you don't have any money, when you're starting out, how do you get a Michael Jordan or LeBron to want to work with you?
Hypnotism. I don't even know.
And then just a few miles across the street is Adidas. Like, how crazy is that? Both headquarters, the U.S. headquarters in the same town. And maybe sometime we'll go over to visit our friends in Adidas, right? And I saw that Ben was wearing his Nike clothing, Nike shirt, Nike shoes, even Nike socks, Nike shorts. Because guess what happens if you go to Nike's headquarters wearing Adidas?
It should be...
They kick you out. Yeah. If you go to a meeting and you're wearing, they'll say, you can't come into the meeting. You need to go to the store, buy some stuff, and come back. So we ended today by going to the Nike employee store. What was that like?
Well, geez, I should be asking you.
I've been there more times than you have, yeah.
And just, our cart was hilarious. It would be funny to put that picture in there, because just, boom, shoes galore. I mean, tons of shoes I've never even seen before.
Yeah.
It's the biggest Nike store I've been in. Weights there. I got some awesome stuff. Some really awesome stuff. GT Cut 3s. I'm going to try them out tomorrow. I've heard really good things, so let's see how they perform.
Amazing. So Ben, what are we doing tomorrow?
dunking at Nike headquarters in my new GT Cut 3s. It's going to be awesome.
Their gym is called the Bo Jackson Gym, and that's where most of these iconic basketball commercials and whatnot have been filmed. So the same place that like all the Mars Blackman and Jordan stuff are filmed in that gym on that court.
Wow.
And they pulled some strings to reserve the court privately just for Ben tomorrow.
What is this? Like, I sometimes don't even know what I'm hearing.
I think when you allow these things to happen, when you surround yourself with the right people, a close-knit group of people where you believe in the same things, then good things start to happen. Especially if you work really hard, you become very lucky, and things go your way. And
sometimes it's hard to believe that they're happening, though.
Maybe it's a dream.
I hope not.
Maybe this whole thing is a, simulation.
Well, if so, I'm still dunking at Nike headquarters tomorrow.
So you can watch for Ben's Instagram and YouTube. And folks like Jake Paul, right? He started out editing his own videos before he became a big deal because he didn't have a team. He didn't have money back then. We had to learn how to do all that stuff ourselves. And then the cap off the day, we had Fogo de Chao. What was that like?
Oh my goodness.
What is it?
I mean,
for those who don't know.
For those who don't know, it's the best meal I've had in my life. I'd have to just probably say it. I think it's won my ribbon because it's these people bring steaks over and they cut it off. You grab them with like tongs and it's just the juiciest, best steak you've ever had in your whole entire life, and you eat about... How many pounds of steak did we eat tonight?
I don't know. 3? Yeah. A lot. But they keep coming at you. You have a little card. It's green on one side, red on the other. And green means come at me, and red means I'm done. And they keep going around with these swords and keep slicing steak, like tons and tons of different kinds of steak. Mostly beef, because we didn't want to eat the chicken or the pork, or lamb was okay. Yeah. But picanha is the best steak, in my opinion, because it's the top of the top sirloin, and it's folded over so that it can go on the rotisserie thing, and that's where it gets all juicy, because that's the best kind of grill when it's going in a rotisserie style versus like the grill mark and stuff where the fat rolls and it goes down. Like it continues to, like it keeps the juice. That's what's so cool about the rotisserie. So it's unlimited meat, and we saw all these noobs. They would go there and they would load up their plate with the salad bar and the mashed potatoes and the bread. And all, and then by the time the good meat comes around, they're already full.
Yeah.
So if you go to a place with all you can eat meat, don't be a noob and fall for the salad or the chicken or the bread.
He taught me the way.
You got to be a pro. You got to do everything the way, I'm the Michael Jordan of eating meat.
There's going to be a Nike headquarters after you.
That's right. They're going to have because they'll name a building after us, right? That's how you know you've made it. Awesome. Well, final words, thoughts, inspiration?
I'm just still thinking about that steak now that it's brought up. Inspiration.
Say there's other young adults that maybe they graduated college or they don't know what to do. They see all this stuff on Instagram, which is not really true, and maybe they need to work a job, or they're not really sure. Or they have this idea, you know what, I'm just going to work some kind of job because, you know what, it's necessary to pay bills, and the most important thing is to be able to hang out with my friends on the weekend. What do they not understand? What do they need to know?
Well, that just things that are unimaginable to your present self can happen. Like, it can happen. I can't get over the person in the life that I thought I was going to have 4 years ago. Like, there's been times in everyone's life where you just think all the doors are shutting on you. All of these things are just, like, coming to a close, and it's scary, and put 2 hours aside to pursuing a better you. I guess that's all I'd have to say. And then those unimaginable things, someday you might be sitting in Nike headquarters shaking the guy's hand who you wear his shoes every single day.
It's awesome. And to think that you don't have to be 50 years old. You can be 20. You just need the right connections to make it happen. And you need to be willing in your mind to allow things that you didn't anticipate to happen. So Ben wanted to be, say, like a basketball player, but for some reason, he was riding the bench and maybe wasn't as good at basketball, but he was good at dunking. And so he had to make that shift, right? You have to make these adjustments. So some people, I think they get, especially when they're younger, they get locked into this one rigid idea of what success is. When there's many paths that you can be successful, and you can always change your mind. You can be something else. Right now he's Bouncy Ben, but maybe something else happens in a year or two, right? You never know.
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing with like social media. You can literally be absolutely anything. You can like collect rocks and show people your rock collection and probably get hits.
Yeah.
It's like just every single person is so unique, and you can bring something to the table with belief.
So the biggest advice I have for people like Ben and you out there, because I've seen a lot of 20-year-olds become super successful, and I've seen a lot of people go nowhere, right? And I've seen kind of like what the difference is between the two. And I find it's as simple as this. If you are just willing to put yourself out there, make a video like this. Like Ben started to make lots and lots of videos, or fish tank video, I don't know, whatever. Just put some stuff, you don't have to go that far, but put some stuff out there so that people can see who you are, and don't judge yourself, right? The thing that keeps most of us from wanting to post is we're afraid of being judged, because people make fun of you, or you don't get very many views, so it looks like you're a loser. But I wouldn't worry about that. Just put things out there that you think are interesting, and then other people who follow you, it's not those people. I've learned this the hard way. It's the friends of those friends that notice you, and those people have the connections, that you need to achieve the dream that you have. The average person has 350 friends. If each of those 350 friends has 350 friends, that's 100,000 people. And of those 100,000 people, if you say, hey, I really want to be a pro dunker, let's just say, you put it out there, then in that group of 100,000 people, somebody is going to have a connection to Nike, or to basketball, or to a trainer, or to other people that can help advance you in the thing that you want in ways you never would have considered, beyond your network, because it's the network of your network. If you don't put stuff out there, it doesn't even have to be like perfectly filmed. Like it's like, I don't know, I'm on a podcast, my hair isn't any good. If you can just overcome all that nonsense and put some stuff out there about something you care about, or some goal that you have. So I noticed initially Ben was like, oh, I'm a student, I'm learning to be a pharmacist, and I went to WSU or Spokane, he was just saying these things. But later he started to say, with a little bit more confidence, I'm a professional dunker. And then they're saying like, oh, what's that? Tell me about that. Oh, how can you jump? What's your favorite dunk? Right? And it starts to create that conversation, right? And people can see that. And now it's not just those people that see it, it's the friends of those people that have the connections that can hook you up and make things happen. That's what people don't understand about social media. That's why LinkedIn and Facebook are so powerful.
Dennis just said the realest thing you've ever heard.
Well, you got to put that on your story then.
Oh, I will. I'm going to edit this up. It's going to be on my YouTube, because the YouTube's making a comeback.
That's right. And then we're going to run $1 a day against Ben's YouTube and use all of our bag of tricks in the Content Factory to help his YouTube and his website grow. Right now, when you Google his name, you don't see a knowledge panel.
Oh, don't see anything.
But soon, you're going to see, just like if you Google my name, you're going to see all these colored boxes pop up, which is what happens for famous people. Yeah. So if you made it this far, kudos to you. Let us know. What do you think? What questions do you have for Ben or myself? How can we help you? What do you think about Ben's experience? Do you think there's something like this in store for you?
Absolutely. I'm here to tell you absolutely.
Yeah. Even some guy from a small town in a suburb of Spokane can play on the big stage. It just takes one connection. It sounds corny, but it's true. It just takes one connection.
Yeah.
So
thank you to Dennis being my connection.
So reach out to those people that you think maybe they'd reject you or not, but just reach out. You never know. They might introduce you to someone else. The worst that someone could say is no. Leave a comment below. Worst that could happen, someone says, I don't know, whatever. But I'll probably notice it. I actually check all the comments myself. Awesome. Appreciate you guys.